Hey everyone, Randy here from Eternal Stellar Games. So last time we set up Perforce, we downloaded the installers, we installed them, and we set up a server. And we created a new folder and just threw in a little test document text file. So now I want to show you a little bit more in depth of the beauty of this is that you can log on to your server from any location and pull down your files and edit them and send them back up to the server. Now, the only key here is that the server must be online, which means whatever computer is running it must be on. Whether that's your own machine or another machine you own, you could find an old crappy laptop or something, you just run that up and run the server. It's not very intensive at all. So that's what I would recommend, and that's what I do. But in our case, I'm running it on my virtual machine. But let's kind of show you the steps of actually walking it through. Okay, so now what we need to do is we need to set up our router to correctly port forward the request that we'll make to our IP address to our server computer. Because right now, how we actually log in, if we're in the P4V client, you go to open a connection, and let's say I know the IP address of my router, or the router that's hosting my server. I know its IP address. And what you could do, you can go to settings, look up Ethernet network, go to IPv4, go ahead and copy that, and you can put it in. This is just locally, but like let's say you're trying to route to your home server from a different location, you could go and find your IP address. And if you need to find the IP address of your actual router, you can look up what is my IP. And that is my public IP address. Well, you can't see it, but you just look up what is my IP, and you can look up your own IP address. And that is the IP address you would actually put here in order to find your server, and then 1666. Now, since this is the local IP, I could just hit OK, and it logs me right in. But let's like I said, what if I'm remote? What if I'm trying to get into my server remotely? So you're gonna go online, go to your router configuration settings, and you're gonna want to find something called port forwarding, and go down and go ahead and create a custom service. I'm using a Netgear router. However, your router probably looks very similar, but just find the port forwarding and go and create like a new service or a new setup. And it's gonna load. You're gonna name it whatever you want to. Keep it as TCP/UDP, and the port range you're gonna set is 1666. And you're gonna want to keep the same range for internal port and external port. And then this is the IP internal address of the device of the server. Now, what you could do here is set an actual static IP. If you know anything about networking, that's the IP address that's assigned to your device internally. Now, that could change. So, my router has the feature of selecting different devices for it. And you would just go ahead and select it, hit apply, and now what we have done is we have told our router, hey, whenever somebody outside of our network requests information on port 1666, send that information to this internal IP address, which in turn is our server computer. So, boom, boom, there we go. Now, if you don't want to put in IP addresses for when you log in on the IPv4, or not on the IPv4, but on the P4V client, you can go ahead and go to something like noip.com. Go ahead, create an account, and what this allows you to do for free is you can give them your IP address, your public IP address, and then create a host name. And so that when this host name then goes out onto the internet, it already knows that's your IP address. And so it's a lot easier to remember. Kind of like a website, host name. Like, this is not actually the server address. This is just a domain name. Instead, the internet sees this, and it reroutes it to the IP. And you could do that, and that's what I do. But the also issue with that is your IP might change because you're leasing it from a IP provider, internet provider. And so you could do something called dynamic DNS, and you can go ahead, select the provider, no IP, at least for Netgear's already selected. And you can insert your host name that you created with no IP, and then put in your credentials for no IP, and then every time your public IP address changes, it will automatically reassign it to noip.com with your account, which is really, really helpful. So now we have that. Like I said before, what you can go in here, and what you would do is if you had that host name, you would put it right here. Or you would put your IP address, your public IP address. This 10 dot that I have here is an internal. You would need your public IP address here. Or not yours specifically, but where the remote server is. And once you get in, there you go. And the really nice thing about Perforce is you don't have to do this every single time. You can save the connections automatically, so then this pulls up and it will just automatically have these drop downs. You can select them, hit OK, and it opens up your server just like that. Super, super incredible stuff. But yeah, that's all I got. In the next one, I'm going to go more in depth and explain even more about how to actually use the servers. But that was just a taste of how to remote into the server, and that's really the beauty behind Perforce. But I hope you guys are all doing well. Go ahead, like, subscribe if you liked it, leave a comment. We'd love to hear feedback from you. Go ahead, join the Discord if you want to. Keep up to date with us. But otherwise take care, and we'll see you in the next one.